I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is an open meeting of the Seward, Nebraska governing body. The city of Seward abides by the Nebraska Open Meetings Act in conducting business. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is displayed on the north wall of this meeting room facility as required. Disclosure of meeting recording processes is posted in the meeting room. A participant sign-in sheet is available for use by any citizen addressing the council. Presenters shall approach the podium, state their name and address for the clerk's record, and are asked to limit remarks to 5 minutes. All remarks shall be directed to the mayor, who shall determine by whom any appropriate response shall be made. The city of Seward reserves the right to adjust the order of items on this agenda if necessary, and may elect to take action on any of the items listed. Please call the roll.
Wilken.
Present.
Beck. Here. Camper. Fritz.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Singleton.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Ham.
Here.
First item tonight is consideration of approval of draft minutes of July 17, 2018.
Move to approve.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, please register your vote. Please display the vote.
All in favor, Wilken. Beck. Fritz. Miller. Singleton. Schmidt. Ham. Motion carried.
Items 2 through 4 consist of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, please register your vote. Please display the votes.
All in favor, Wilken. Beck. Fritz. Miller. Singleton. Schmidt. Ham. Motion carried.
Next, item 5 is the council to consider awarding the bid for the Seward Rail campus improvements. Greg?
Yep. Back, I believe, on my birthday, July 13, 2018, we opened bids for the 30-acre site development. We received 2 qualifying bids in, Van Kirk Brothers and M.E. Collins Contracting. And so in your packet there on page 20, you'll see the engineer's estimate. It totaled just shy of $960,000. With the alternate $924,415 as the base bid. Van Kirk Brothers was the low bid at $823,178, and M.E. Collins came in just about $23,000 over that at $846,694.36. And so we can answer any questions you have about the bid process or anything, and if not, I think a motion to award the bid would be in order.
Is there a reason they came in so much lower than the estimate?
One of them, I think, and we had noted this back this summer, was looking at Van Kirk Brothers is actually the contractor that is currently in town working on the Fairway Woods project. And so they had significant savings, I believe, on mobilization to bring out all the equipment, let alone the project that they're working on is streets, grading, water, sanitary sewer, it's all the same elements. And so we knew that they would be interested, and then M.E. Collins, I think, just put in a good bid as well. You kind of see some different balances there across the numbers. But I don't know if Jake specifically, we sat down and talked about it. I don't know if they had anything specific that he said why it came in so significantly under. So.
Any other questions or comments? I would entertain a motion.
I move that we award the bid to Van Kirk.
Second. We have a motion and a second, is there any further discussion?
Are we awarding the base or the alternate?
The base,
Just the base.
just the base at this time.
The motion is to award the base amount, and that's the second, correct? Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes, please display the votes.
All in favor, Wilken. Beck. Fritz. Miller. Singleton. Schmidt. Ham. Motion carried.
Item 6, consideration of a request by Seward Community Chamber and Development Partnership to sponsor an event at the Seward Municipal Airport on September 15, 2018, where alcohol will be served and sold. Jonathan, welcome.
Yes, I apologize, I'm not Megan.
That's okay.
Jonathan Jank with the Seward County Chamber Development Partnership. This is for our Ignite the Flight event. This will be the 2nd annual at the Seward Municipal Airport again. The same beer, wine, and whiskey vendors will be there, and we'll have fireworks at the end of the night. And we're, of course, we're pulling all the necessary insurance for the event and working with the Seward Municipal Airport Authority to make sure all those ducks are in a row. So we appreciate your consideration to support our event through, through this item.
Do you have any questions or comments?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
All in favor, Wolfenbeck, Fritz Miller, St. Schmidt, and Hess, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Item number 7, consideration of an ordinance authorizing the sale of Lot 1 Reynolds Addition to Underwood Construction Company LLC and repealing ordinance 2018-11 authorizing the sale of Lot 1 Reynolds Addition to Don Johnson Homes. Kelly, did you want to add anything on that?
Just one thing, so this is actually repealing ordinance 2018-11. We had previously been under contract with Don Johnson. We had approved an ordinance to have a sale to Don Johnson Homes, and they rescinded their offer, so we have a new buyer at this time, which is Underwood Construction Company. So I just have one proposed text edit to the ordinance that you're going to have up for consideration. That would be section 3, adding just a clarification sentence that says ordinance 2018-11 is hereby repealed.
Are there any questions or comments on this item?
Move for approval with revision.
We have, this is an ordinance. Would you introduce the ordinance for us? Okay. An ordinance to direct the conveyance of real property to Underwood Construction Company LLC to repeal ordinance number 2018-11, to provide for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form, to provide for a time when this ordinance shall take effect. The ordinance has been read by title and is designated as ordinance number 2018-16, and the title is hereby approved. I need a motion to dispense with statutory rule.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
All in favor, Wolfenbeck, Fritz Miller, St. Schmidt, and Hess, motion carried.
Again, this is ordinance number 2018-16. Would anyone like to move that this ordinance be passed and adopted as read?
Move to pass.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. The question is, shall ordinance number 2018-16 be finally passed and adopted
With the text amendment.
with the text amendment? Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
All in favor, Wolfenbeck, Fritz Miller, St. Schmidt, and Hess, motion carried.
I think this is the only ordinance for this evening, so would someone like to make a motion to make this ordinance a part of the permanent record?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to register your votes. Please display the votes.
All in favor, Wolfenbeck, Fritz Miller, St. Schmidt, and Hess, motion carried.
All right. Item number 8, acknowledgement of receipt of claim from Joy Shook, 247 Hutchinson Street, Garland, Nebraska, for personal injury, and forward to the city attorney and city's insurance carrier. Greg?
Trip and fall case on the sidewalk on the 4th of July. Pretty straightforward. I can answer any questions you have. Recommendation be forwarded on the city attorney and insurance carrier.
Any questions or comments? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll move to forward it on to insurance.
We will. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
All in favor, Wolfenbeck, Fritz Miller, St. Schmidt, and Hess, motion carried.
Item number 9, consideration of supplemental program agreement number 2 with the Nebraska Department of Transportation, authorizing them to take over the responsible charge fees for the Carroll K. Boulevard Vader Hillcrest project. This is a resolution. Greg?
Yeah, this is sent to us by NDOT in relation to our Carroll K project, connecting off over to the south to Hillcrest. This is just standard operating procedure for NDOT now. They're taking over the responsible charge duties for all of their federally funded grants. And so they've slowly been rolling through, I've noticed in other grants at other communities, to just update all of their documents to take over those, which saves on a lot of local time and effort in trying to fulfill those duties. And so it should make things more fast and efficient.
Any questions or comments?
So that'll stall it another 15, 20
Now,
years.
Dean? Play nice.
Just throw it.
We'll ask and get back to it. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, would someone like to introduce the resolution?
I'll introduce it.
Alright, the resolution has been introduced and is designated as resolution number 2018-15. Would anyone like to move that this resolution be passed and adopted?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Barney Frank, Walkenbeck, Fritz Miller, Single Schmidt, Hess,
Number 10, consideration for approval, amendment number 1 to the automated metering agreement with Nebraska Public Power District and Norris Public Power District. Greg?
A number of years ago, the city of Seward entered into an agreement with what was then, I believe, Seward Public Power or the rural power provider, and NPPD to implement automated metering. NPPD handles the maintenance of the system and the general oversight of it. We implement it as well as Seward Rural did. They obviously, as you're well aware, were bought out or absorbed by Norris Public Power. Norris Public Power, at the time that they had absorbed them, had already rolled out a significant automated meter system of their own. And so they went around and retrofitted all of the Seward Rural to their system, which is a completely different system. There's no integration between them. And so, noting that they were doing that, they gave us notice within the allotted time in the agreement that's outlined, I think last summer. So they gave us a year's notice that they were going to be getting out of this agreement. And the result of it, as it was laid out there, was whoever was left over in the agreement, which is only two parties, would split the cost. It was split 3 ways previously, evenly, and now it will just be absorbed by the two of us. Ultimately, what this will mean is approximately a $15,000 increase annually in the maintenance fees and oversight fees that we have for our automated meter system. And the first time you'll see that is not even in this coming budget fiscal year, but the following fiscal year after that will be the first time it will actually hit a budget. And so we pay approximately $30,000 now, and it was 30, 30, and 30, but we're dividing up the Norris first portion of it. So this just outlines all the process for them and information retention, things like that. So,
Chris?
So is the additional fees funded through the general levy, or is it gonna be funded through rate hike?
the additional, well, you'd be funded however you guys ultimately determine in 2 budgets from now. But the recommendation would be this, the system serves water and electric. So it'd be paid out of those 2 fees, whether you increase rates to cover the 15,000 between the 2 or however you want to do it. Ultimately, it should be paid for by the rate, the business funds of electric
So
and
we'll
water.
expect to see it in our rate study. Being-
Should be.
Or it could just be absorbed too.
Ultimately, we're gonna, what you are gonna see, I'll note, and this is what will lead to more discussion on this, is some of the technology that's involved in the water side of it is becoming aged, and not, the versions we were using is not being retrofitted anymore. And so we may need to begin the discussion of a new automated system at some point here, to just update it. You guys are one of the first ones to do automated meter reading, so our system is kind of dated. So at some point, we'll want to discuss looking at a new one, and then we would probably oversee it ourselves potentially.
So the term of this one is 5 years, is that correct?
Of this agreement,
I mean, if we're looking to update an automated system, at what point are we gonna do that? Sooner than 5 years?
could be
This agreement is 5 years.
with the same, because it's amending the original language, it has the same agreement to get out. We can let them know with a year's advance notice. So, I believe
Any party may terminate participation in this agreement after the initial 5 years.
the initial 5 years.
So is this the start of a new?
What page are you on?
I'm on page 3, bottom of page 3. 5.2.
Oh, are you looking at the original agreement? 5.2 on page 3. Page 71 of your
3.10.
packet. That's the original agreement that you signed back in 2006. So the 5-year term of that ended in 2011.
So we're doing just an amendment to this?
Yes, it's,
Here we go.
But is expired agreement or amending an expired agreement?
It's an expired agreement, the original term, but it rolled on. It's rolled, I mean, it's been going on since 2011. Because 5.1, right above where Councilman Schmidt just noted, the term of this agreement shall be for 5 years from the effective date first above, written, and shall continue annually thereafter until terminated as provided in 5.2 below, which is 4 months prior to the annual anniversary. I think the annual anniversary, if you look on the front of this, was, this one's not
You have to
dated.
go for the signature date.
Signature dates in the
August
back
26th.
in August, and so they let us know, I believe,
26th.
in April or so of a year, a while ago, so. Again, I think, you know, we're not gonna be stuck in it for 5 years. If we wanna get out and we wanna go do something else, MPPD's not, we'll give them reasonable notice and we'll get out. There won't be any, there's no penalties or anything else. It's just noted that the way that this agreement pays out, it pays in arrear. That's why I said you won't see this hit for 2 more budgets, so.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, we entertain a motion.
Move to approve the agreement.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
All in favor, Workenbeck, Fritz, Miller, Single, Schmidt, Hans, motion carried.
Item 11, consideration of agreement with GIS Workshop LLC for research and development of an easement layer to the City of Seward GIS mapping system. Greg?
Number of local and regional utility providers are looking to work on utility work within the city, have asked for GIS data. And we've been updating that pursuant to the agreement we did before, that updated the water, wastewater, storm sewer, street, and electric. And we're right in the middle of that process. All the department heads got map books just the other day produced by Olson to have as current a data as we can, and now they're actually marking them up. They begin that process on Monday. And so they're working very, very quickly to get our GIS fully accurate to our current situation on the utility side. One of the other elements that was requested for their design phases of the different utility providers we talked to was easements. And so we went back and discussed with the department heads whether we had access or information containing easements to map out in GIS. It took them a really long time to find it, and when we did, we ultimately found out it was from 2002. When I inquired where the data that produced it came from, I was pointed to an unsorted drawer of easements that were copied from the Register of Deeds. And so, obviously we would have to do the work from 2002 up, and we weren't sure if the stuff from 2002 prior matched anything or was accurate. And so what we did is we worked out with GIS Workshop. They contacted us and let us know that they're gonna be doing work on easements specifically for a number of communities at the same time in the county of Seward. Milford's one of them specifically. And so they'll be up doing the research at the county courthouse with the Register of Deeds office and copying digitally all of the easements that they're finding. And so what they've proposed is what you see here. This will put together in GIS along with, through their Simple City platform that we utilize, all of the easements that are on file, separate specific easements are on file in the Register of Deeds that go to the city. And the great part about that is it's going to call out on every one of them, and you can click on it and a copy of the actual deed will pop up, which is very important. When I started reading through our deeds, a lot of utilities use general utility easements, so anything can go in there: telephone, cable, fiber, water, sewer. We have a lot of easements that weren't called out in our GIS and just showed an easement. They're actually specific to electric utility lines only. And so this is going to allow us to know exactly what our data is, what our easement access requirements are. And the other element that we did not have at all that is covered by this agreement as well, that will help utilities in the future, is all of the easements that are called out on the plats are not marked in GIS. So if somebody gives us a strip easement of 15 feet to allow a utility to go right through 2 houses, that's not on there at all. That only exists on the plat, and so they will go through all the plats and digitize and mark out all of those easements as well and call them out. And so every easement we have and what it is and a digital copy of it will all be at our fingertips now in the GIS. and then the platform will be built for us to service it in the future. And with the way that Ed has designed his subdivision improvement agreements, all that data on the development side is required to be given to us by the developer at the end of the project when we approve the as-builts. They just hand over a stick with GIS data on it, and we upload it, verify it, and upload it. So this builds the easement layer that is severely lacking, and it also gives everything that a modern utility would look for in their design system that we've heard requested from multiple utilities. If we're gonna design something within sewer, we need this data to run our analytics, and so that's what this would do. I did speak with Jeannie at GIS, and she noted that if any of the easement data that they have that they can borrow or take from us previously and utilize, and if they can call it out correctly, they'll utilize that, and they said they'll come back with a change order and reduce the cost. But the cost is, I believe, the max cost on this one is $32,760. So,
Any questions or comments on this item?
Where does this fit in the budget?
we plan to put this under engineering throughout all, because again, all the easements, some of those easements are gonna be easements for other elements, not just utilities. And so we're gonna spread it out through the engineering budgets in public properties, water, wastewater, electric, streets. We went through it and looked at it the other day, and we have probably well over 75,000 in funds that haven't been expended this fiscal year to cover this.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, we can entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Workenbeck, Fritz Miller, Single Schmidt, Hands, motion carried.
Item 12, consideration of authorization for city personnel to sign an agreement recognizing Tenneco Seward Facility as a producer of hazardous waste and agreeing to respond to hazardous waste emergencies at the facility. Greg?
This one kind of set up flags for me, and it's actually, from my understanding and talking to Chief Baldwin, that this is actually something that they periodically get from Tenneco. It just sounds like we must have previously just signed off on it, or, because ultimately the hilarity of it is that, as you note at the bottom, it states that the City of Seward Utilities and Public Works Departments agrees to respond to a hazardous material emergency at Tenneco, should they have one. And we joked at department meeting on Monday, like, what else are we gonna do? Like, even if we didn't sign this, we're still gonna show up, that's what we do. That's what we're in the business of doing. But ultimately, it does provide them acknowledgement that they did distribute their plan and the information about it and the tiers of their hazardous stuff. Again, they're not dealing with major hazardous materials there, but I think for their planning process and due to the nature and size of their facility, they take advantage of this periodically. And so I'll answer any questions you have about it, but sounds like we get these every so many years apparently. So.
Any questions or comments on item 12? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Workenbeck, Fritz Miller, Single Schmidt, Hands, motion carried.
Next item, consideration for approval of an agreement with Constellation New Energy Gas Division LLC for a set rate for natural gas for a 2-year period. Greg?
I'd never even heard of this before. And so, about in June, quickly we started getting requests to renew this agreement. And I sat down finally, and with the assistance of Julian Administrator's office, we pieced out the numbers and took a look at this. I think it's that spreadsheet's provided to you. I think I have 2 different spreadsheets. One that gives you the historical therm price, because what we're doing is basically we're purchasing wholesale gas from Constellation wheeled to us by Black Hills Energy. And so on all these properties that are included, which is the fire department, civic center, senior center, and the water wastewater treatment plant, we purchased in previously for a number of years. I was told this went back to Berlowitz when he was city administrator, that you could go out and buy wholesale gas from anyone and then get it wheeled through your local provider if you could find the agreements. And ultimately, it sounds like it's been going on for a number of years. But 2 years ago, we signed up and approved this, and the rate that we signed up for is the Constellation Risk Management rate. And this time they're offering us a fixed rate. Well, as you can see on page 126 of your packet, the Constellation rate was all over the place, anywhere from 51 cents all the way up to 72 cents a therm, which is significantly higher than Black Hills Energy was at over that same period, which is who we would normally buy from. And so the only reason I decided to bring this to you was to see what the council's interest is in hedging our bets over the next 2 years, because the fixed rate is so close to the rate that possibly Black Hills will be offering us over the next 2 years. And so there is something to be had by knowing exactly what you'll be paying. I mean, we don't know what our usage will be. We roughly know what we use year in, year out at these facilities. And so I thought I'd bring that forward to you and see what your thoughts are. Again, the rate they're offering us is significantly better than what we got from them 2 years ago. And I thought it was fair to bring it forward and see what your thoughts were. But again, you're slightly hedging that it's gonna get outpaced by Black Hills, I believe.
So what's the role of Black Hills in this, if we're purchasing from Constellation?
We receive a bill from them as well. It's the wheeling fee. It's going through their
The
actual
delivery.
infrastructure. Yes. And so the only element that's missing is this therm price. On your billing, you'll see that you have a therm price, which is the wholesale price of the gas you're purchasing. That's the only thing that Constellation is charging us for. And then on our Black Hills one, that's just zero, rather than what they would put at their wholesale price. And that's what the two comparables are on page 126. And so,
Have you talked to Black Hills about this? As far as would they negotiate a lower price?
I have not. I don't know that Black Hills has negotiated prices before.
Well, I'm just saying it might be, since we have actual competitor, it might be worth at least having a conversation and seeing if they would be interested in doing a better deal than that, since we have that number. I assume that number is not proprietary, it's not confidential. Okay, so then we could share it, but we could try and do a lower than that. That would be one avenue, unless you feel strongly one way or the other. At least have more information to decide what you think. I mean, unless you have a crystal ball, it's kind of hard to predict. Or magic 8-ball. I mean, either one.
How soon do you have to have a decision?
Wasn't the offer only good through,
Is there a deadline?
I believe there may have been a deadline on it. She was pushing pretty hard on it. It starts November 2018, so that's the beginning of the billing cycle.
Is
So
there
I
a
can-
deadline though to approve this agreement? Do you recall?
If we get out of it, we'd have to check on the 90-day prior,
Okay.
so, which we might be at, but.
Well, if it's feasible to go ahead and check with Black Hills, I'd be interested in seeing what they would do.
Okay. Again, they may just say, you're just getting the rate we're giving you, which is variable based on the market. I've not seen in the past, I mean, me and Jonathan worked in economic development projects, and that's not one of the elements that's discussed usually, is Black Hills. And
Well,
So is that,
that's
is that just from municipalities, because I can lock in my rate at home?
I think it's just the wholesale. So,
in the past, Black Hills, they'll negotiate specifically with a project, so we're not necessarily privy to that information either. They'll go to a back room somewhere and they'll figure out a price, and then they'll come out and say, we have a price, that's it, so.
I think it's fair to reach out to Black Hills. I mean, we reach out to them for all of our economic development stuff and what we do. This is the first
Yeah.
time I've heard of Constellation.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't reach out to them for
Call
all
Cheryl.
for other things.
Right.
okay.
I agree.
Yeah,
So with that, are we okay just tabling this item until we have more information?
Yes.
Would you like to make a motion to table
Move
it?
the table.
Second.
We motion and a second. Please register your vote. Please display the votes.
Linda Farrell, Wolfenbeck, Fritz Miller, Single Schmidt, Hands, motion carried.
Report, city administrator's report.
Let's see. We continue to work on the budget. We talked to our budget advisors today to kind of finalize some elements. Met with the mayor this week as well. so hopefully we'll have that rolled out to you in the coming days, and then we'll set a budget hearing or meeting initially with you guys to go over that with you and have its individual sections. So look for that. Continue to work on a number of economic development projects. We've had a number of discussions. This keeps going full circle, but we met out on site after I got back from vacation in late July with BNSF, with their regional projects manager and also their roadmaster, myself and the street department. Came to the conclusion that they wouldn't have any issue with us milling it down. Ultimately, when you're out on site, what it seems to be is the roadway is completely fine. It is the tracks have basically sunk within their positioning. And so we've been going back and forth. Walked away from the discussion understanding that they said if we're gonna replace it, someone's gonna have to help pay for it. If we repair it, we would pay for it. This looks like a replacement. And then they said, we weren't sure, it sounded like people were pointing fingers again between the city and the state. And we're like, it's not our highway, it's also your crossing. And then just last week again, they switched their story. It sounded like the state was gonna do it again. So, in the meantime, we've contacted the local DOT office here in Seward and asked about partnering to just mill down the approaches, just to level the thing off until they can come in and raise the track and put the new planking back in, which is the big concrete metal encased slabs, and raise it back up. Because that's the temporary solution, is just mill it down, and we could probably get that done in less than 2 days. Because we just want, for safety purposes, not closing the entire roadway. We'll do one lane on each side, and we'll switch out the next day doing one lane on each side and mill it down. So that's what we're discussing, and we're gonna try and get that looked at and implemented one way or the other.
Can we also kind of put Kelly on that to kind of drive him a little bit because of the liability of potential hazards of not fixing the roadway, which is their tracks? I mean, what if you're hauling somebody, a critical patient in a squad, whether it's here or something from Midwest or something like that, you know, middle of the night, and you hit those with a critical patient? I'm just saying, liability-wise, I would think they'd be all over that to fix it.
I think the hard part would be is anybody around here that's driving around with the patient should know about it now.
We do.
Plus, we put up signage, so I think
Unfortunately-
we've done our due diligence. The problem now is we need to take care of the issue.
And like you said, it's their liability because it's their road or it's their railroad track, depending on who you're talking about, and so we've had numerous conversations. I don't know that we can have, I mean, another one isn't gonna necessarily help at this point, but yeah, if we think that that would help, we could definitely go that route. But-
I'm just saying, it's been over a year.
But they're well aware of the issues, and the ball's kind of in their court unless they let the state handle it or us locally.
But in my opinion, they've kind of dropped the ball because they told us they were gonna do the Tamora first, and we were kind of in between there, and they'd done Tamora a long time ago, so why haven't they been there? So,
We agree. That's why we were actually the ones that put up the rough tracks, just because we wanted to do something to give people a heads up that to be careful going through there. So, any other questions or comments for the report? Otherwise, entertain a motion to accept the report.
second.
New motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please play the votes.
Tony O'Hara, welcome back. Fritz Miller, Salem Schmidt, Haynes motion carried.
Are there any future requests for council agenda items or administrative action? Seeing none, Jonathan left, so I don't know what's going on in the community.
County Fair?
Yeah, well, that's true, we've got County Fair, and there is the Ignite the Flight that we, approved this evening as well, so there's
September
two
5th.
events, yeah. Yeah, and so, yes,
Thursday the 16th, National Airborne Day, and they're
oh,
We're
yeah,
gonna be jumping out the airport at 8 o'clock, or not, 9 o'clock.
okay. So we're not being invaded, it's
No, it's just jumping out of helicopters.
important to make that distinction. All right, if there's nothing else, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second, please register your votes, please play the votes.
Tony O'Hara, welcome back. Fritz Miller, Salem Schmidt, Haynes motion carried.
Thank you.